Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. That means, as you know, New Japan Pro Wrestling continues with Road to Wrestling Dondaku. However, this one features a very interesting matches. One of them involves, of course, the first title defense between Toru Yano, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and of course the Ichiban Meat Boy, Bolton Oleg, defending the Never Openweight six-man tag team titles against, of course, those morons, the House of Torture. But of course, the war between LIJ and the Bullet Club War Dogs continued on. Each member will be in singles competition throughout the entirety. As you know, the Bullet Club War Dogs are now targeting LIJ as their usual way to prove that they are the ones that run New Japan Pro Wrestling. And of course, NXT Spring Breakin, this is only the first week. We're going to see some interesting matches taking place. We do have the NXT Women's Championship on the line. Will Roxanne Perez survive against two other competitors, or will she lose it? Well, we'll see about that too. We do have, of course, the NXT title defended. Trick Williams has one last shot in order to win this. If he doesn't, then he's out of NXT for good. But we'll see what happens until then. But before then, as you know, I have not finished what goes on in the collective. We do have, of course, GCW slash JCW. They take on the world. This took place back on April 4th, and I'm looking forward to see what happens in that. And then, of course, we have Pro Wrestling Noah with their final Monday Magic show. This one features a number one contendership for the GHC heavyweight title. Who will walk out? Will it be these two former champions? Will it be Jake Lee, who was dominant, or will it be the Supernova Keito Kiyomiya? Well, we'll just have to find out about that too. And then we cap it up with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course, we do have some developments. And among those developments, I am willing to say, as you know, I was a bit of surprised that this person was released from the company, and that is, of course, Cameron Grimes, or as you knew him before then, Trevor Lee. I think that's pretty much what we're going to be exploring at this moment. So let's get started with another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world of pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics, such as, of course, the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. And of course, we have the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool content and wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside. I think it's time to get the show on the road for this latest episode. So let's begin with JCW slash GCW slash JCW versus the world. Alrighty then. So let's begin with our very first review. This is from back on April 4th during the Collective in WrestleMania week. GCW slash JCW versus the World. Now this is a bit of an interesting where we have the talent from both promotions, GCW and JCW, coexist to take on the world's best. Now I want to make this very interesting clear. I did not see the full extent of the last two matches. Now I am aware of the results, but I did not see. The reason is this: the streaming service where I saw this kind of get away. No, I do not. I did not purchase this on the Thriller TV and other places. I just got it from one of those places where you, of course, watch them somewhere. But that kind of sets it up. But let's get started. Our first match, we have Jordan Oliver taking on the French very own Aglin Blanc. I have to say this was a pretty amazing match because these two guys are high flyers. Aglin Blanc has been one of the most fascinating wrestlers I've ever seen in coming out of France. Not to mention, Mustafa Ali said that he's even way better than the wrestlers than he's faced before, like Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, and he's not wrong. He is in that same. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked up, but the real question is, will WWE pick him up, or will WWE will do that? Well, we just don't know, but we'll see down the road. But of course, there were many moments of this match with Jordan. He was intending to apply the acid bomb, but it failed. But this time he applied a much bigger acid bomb, and that acid bomb was an avalanche, called the avalanche acid bomb, and just like that, it was completely over. And of course, Aglin Blanc actually had the standing ovation, and people were asking him, please come back. I'm sure he will love to come back. Now our next match, we have that moron Griffin McCoy taking on Session Moth Martina. Of course, he's going to be a little cocky in this match, because he thinks he's the big deal. Not to mention his feud against Jordan Oliver and whatnot. But you would think the Session Martina would have found a way to overcome him. But this scuzzball raked her in the eyes and then, of course, applied his inside cradle and won the match. One way or the other, someone is going to teach him a lesson. But the real question, who will that be? We'll see when we get in that position. Now, our next match, we have the JCW World Title defended. We have, coming from Stardom, Shooty. She takes on Masha Slamovich. You would never imagine those two would meet. Now, these two ladies do have similar backgrounds. They're strikers. They have great submission techniques. You would see that. But I did not anticipate a whole lot coming from this match. It was like, holy shiznits. I did not expected it. But unfortunately, this match ended in a 30-minute time limit draw. Now, I know here in the States, it's like the most stupidest thing we ever get to see. But in Japan, it's not much of a bigger deal because no one wins, no one loses. But here in the States, it's more like we want to see the definitive winner. But that's how things are. Now, our next match, we have a mixture of two teams. We have Los Desperados, consistent of Gringo Loco, Aries, and Latigo. They take on Team Dragon Gate, consisting of Yamato, Yamato, Dragon Kid, and of course, Shun Skywalker. Now, of course, Shun Skywalker, he is the most cockiest person on the planet. You would think that it would have been him to pick up the win. Nope. I have to say it was the cohesion with Los Desperados that played out pretty well because each of these guys from Team Dragon Gate are from different factions or they haven't teamed up. Now, we know that Yamato and Dragon Kid have teamed up with a faction known as High End a long time ago, but that unit has since disbanded. But as for Shun Skywalker, he's the leader of the group known as Z-Brats. You would think that, of course, Shun Skywalker will show no interest in teaming them, but this is about the world. But apparently that did not go well for them because Hayato ended up in a moonsault by Gringo Loco and picked up the win. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting six-man tag match. We have the Garbage Daddies, Alec Price and Cole Radrick. They team up with one called Manders. Someone said that they could have called them the Trash Daddies. I'm like, That would have been great. They take on the astronauts, Fuminori Abe, um, Takuya Nomura. They team up with Rina Yamashita. So you probably can say, okay, is America versus Japan, that sort of thing. But however, you cannot deny the abilities of the astronauts, what they can do. Not only they are tag partners, but they have faced each other before. They have great runs and singles competitors, but they're one of the most toughest SOBs on the planet. But they not are the toughest SOBs, so is their tag partner, Rina Yamashita. You know she's tough, and she did apply a splash mountain through a door onto Cole Radrick to pick up the win. Now, this next two matches are the ones I did not see. We have the world consistent of Shota, Ho Loon, Lou Nixon, Yuzaki Ito, Mizuki Wadaze, and of course Ricky Knight Jr. They take on the guys from GCW / JCW, Mr. Danger, Teriyaki, Charlie Tiger, Marcus Mathers, Calvin Tankman, and Tony Deppen. However, I did not see this match, but according to my information, it was Team GCW / JCW the win. Now, the next one I did not see either, but this one had a very four-way tag match on this one. Let me pull that up for all of you so I can uh, explain that one a bit. Let's see. Okay, we have Mao Yoshihiko versus the Baustrizos. Behavior consistent of Leon Slater, Man Like the Reese, Los Macizos, and of course, guys named Norman Harris and Robert Dreskier. I don't know who these guys, but the match ended with Mao and Yoshihiko picking up the win. So, not bad on that. But I apologize for not actually giving a decisive what exactly took place in those two last matches. I apologize. Hopefully, something can change over that, but we'll see. Now, our next, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think we're done with this one. So I believe it's time to move on with the final Monday Magic by Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah. Monday Magic. This is the finale before we head to Wrestle Magic, the biggest show that is going to be produced. There's a lot of things that are going to happen before then. Now let's begin with our very first match. We have Yu Owada, the young boy, taking on, of course, Rohei Oiwa. You guys know him from as part of the New Japan when he was a young lion on excursion with Noah. You probably would think that this match will fall into Oiwa, which it did because, of course, he was the far more better advanced wrestler than Owada, but he did pull off a Dr. Bomb, which is the same move that Wilton Nightingale uses to finish him off. So practically, he won this match by using that move. Now, our next match, we have the guys coming all the way from West Coast Pro. We're talking about Titus Alexander and Starboy Charlie. Now, this is Starboy Charlie's very first tour. The reason, if you guys know this, recently I did mention that he had to drop the West Coast Pro title after losing it to Kevin Blackwood due to the fact of possibilities because it was announced he'll be heading to Japan. This explained it. But what's interesting is the opponents. The opponents are Hajime Ohara and Naomichi Marufuji. Now, we do know later on in May, Naomichi Marufuji will make his way to the U.S. where he will be in a match against Titus Alexander. So I think this is one of those warm-up matches for Alexander to take on Marufuji. So I think this is a good proper way and also for people to get to know Starboy Charlie a little bit. And of course, the match was amazing. I did like how Starboy Charlie and Titus Alexander really coexisted in this match. But it was, of course, Alexander with the rolling German suplex onto Ohara that allowed him to pick up the win. I'm sure Naomichi Marufuji is looking on, realizing that this is going to be a match that I believe he's in for. Now, before our next match, we see Keno making his way. He decided to put out a promo. Now, as you guys remember, last time he was acting like all crazy. Now, if you guys remember what happened, let me explain. He was in a match in the Star Navigation show. He lost to Keito Kiyomiya, and then on the week before of the finale of Monday Magic, he was acting all in crazy around, try to be all friendly, even though Kiyomiya can't stand him whatsoever. So he feels that Oiwa stole him from him, acting like a nagging girlfriend who stole her boyfriend from him. So that's what it was. But he also said that he has a mission towards the Young Lions. So apparently it was told later on that he will be in a match against Kosa Fujita. So we'll see what happens until then. But right now, let's keep on moving with the next match. Our next match, we have Ulka Zazaki taking on Masa Kitamiya. Now, you would think in this particular match, Masa Kitamiya, who is a powerhouse in Noah, would have found a way to murderize Zazaki. But however, Zazaki, who has an MMA background, his skills have often served very well. I mean, we've seen him picked up some amazing wins here and there, but this one is a huge one because he actually chokehold Kitamiya, and just like that, it was completely over. I'm like, damn, that's pretty much it. Now, our next match is for the GHC Tag Team titles. We have GLG, Anthony Green, and Jack Morris. They take on against two competitors wearing masks. Now, we didn't know who they were, but it later revealed it was these guys all the way from Dragon Gate, Masaaki Mochizuki and Suzumu Yokosuka. So these guys are from Dragon Gate, were there. Now, you would think that this match, it would have been easy for them. No. It was, of course, Anthony Green with a roll-up on Mochizuki to pick up the win. Now, as soon as the match was over, they decided to go on a promo and say that they will continue to do their open challenges, but that will continue all the way to Wrestle Magic. So we will see that on May 4th. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting match. We have one side the challengers, one side champions. For the challenger side, we have Alejandro, Junta Miyawaki, Shuji Kondo, Alpha Wolf, and Dragon Bane. They take on the GHC National Champion Hayata, the GHC Hardcore Champion Ninja Mac, Daga, the current GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion, and of course our current GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions Tadasuke and Yohei of GLG. Now, of course, many of you would think, okay, the champions have the upper hand because they are the top stars at this point. Perhaps so, but it was Shuji Kondo with a big lariat on Yohei, giving him the win. However, Yohei, who is one half of the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Champions, that would give him the right to challenge. However, his student and tag partner, Junta Miyawaki, was trying to ask if that's what you want to do now. Apparently, Shuji Kondo knocked him out. It appears that Kondo has other plans for the tag titles. It appears that he may have another opponent, but however, we do know that the Alpha Wolf and Dragon Bane want another shot at this, so we will see where that leads us from here on out. Now, our next and final match is the main event. This is a number one contendership for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. We have Jake Lee and Keito Kiyomiya, former GHC champions. Now, there is a very interesting story about this matchup that it makes sense. Now, these two guys are determined to get back on the high horse to pick up their winning ways. However, Jake Lee reminded Kiyomiya that it was him who defeated him for the GHC heavyweight title, which, of course, that's no secret at all. But the real question is, can Kiyomiya survive it? That's the key thing. I mean, Kiyomiya took a lot of heavy damage coming from Jake Lee, the big man, but it was the Shining Wizard that sealed the deal for him to pick up the win. And now he's on his way to Wrestle Magic to face Hijo, the Dr. Wagner Jr. But the real question we will ask, can Kiyomiya be the guy he said he is, the top ace and the savior of Noah? Well, we'll see what happens until we get there. But as of right now, I think we are done with Noah. I believe it's time for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling, as we continue with more Road to Wrestling Dondaku, so let's see what happens until then. Now, the show opened up with a contract signing for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Now, Doiki, as you know, has won the right to a number one contendership. Apparently, he signed the contract. But we should have expected from those pieces of garbages, House of Torture, especially Evil, who claims that he is the president. He switched the contracts in order to ensure the contract says he will have the match, but not the title match. He thinks he's going to get away with it. But if I was Hiroshi Tanahashi, I will find a way to ensure that match will happen for the title. Because the reason is this, Sho has no intentions of defending the belt. He wants to hold it, he doesn't want to defend it. He's too much of a coward. He thinks that no one can beat him. No. He's a scared little bitch. That's what he is, folks. And pardon my language, because that's what Sho is. He's scared. He's scared. He cries like a little girl. Have you guys ever seen him cry? I seen him cry. If you take away his wrench, he cries. He cries like a little girl. If you want proof, look it up when he faced against Francesco Cara, but it was TJP who removed the wrench. He cries like a little girl. But sooner or later, something will be fixed and Doiki will get his opportunity. Trust me on that. Now, our first match, as you know, we are getting preludes from upcoming matches. The Bullet Club, consisting of Taiji Ishimori, Chase Owens, and Kenta, they take on Shoma, Kato, and Bishamon. Now, don't forget, Owens and Kenta will have another opportunity of the IWGP Tag Team titles. And, of course, as I said, this is a prelude to that, to Wrestling Dondaku. But however, it was Ishimori with the crossbones onto Kota to pick up the win. But the real question does tell: can Chase Owens and Kenta reclaim what that they lost? Well, we just gotta wait and see until we get to Wrestling Dondaku. Our next match, we have, of course, Katsuya Murashima, Despy, and of course GOD's Hikuleo and LP. They are facing against all members of the TMDK except for Robbie Eagles, Ichiban's sweet boy Kosei Fujita, the current New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols, and our current New Japan World Television Champion Zack Sabre Jr. So you would think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. However, as we always seen, Kosei Fujita, we have seen him. He has excelled and has grown so much. Learned a lot from his mentor, who's been Papa to him, Zack Sabre Jr. He put the young lion Murashima in the Boston Crab, and of course, that's how it ends, folks. Now, our next match is our only title match. This is the Never Openweight 6-man tag team titles. Now, if you guys remember clearly, the House of Torture had a chance to win these belts in Taiwan, but instead they decided to cry like little girls because they feel it's unfair because Tanahashi is the president. That's the reason Evil calls himself the president. He thinks that he runs the show. You know, Evil's a lousy crybaby who doesn't get things what he wants. When he wants to stop somebody, he thinks that he's the good guy. I mean, he did try to stop Tama Tonga from, and even try to stop Shota Umino from, all this. But, however, he teams up with Kanemaru and Yujiro to take on, of course, the champions. Now, you would think, with all the dirty tricks in the world, House of Torture would have found ways. Well, they almost did, but however, Oleg, Yano, and Tanahashi continue to show their teamwork and cohesion, but it was, of course, the Oleg with the kamikaze and the high five flow on Yujiro, allowing for, of course, Oleg, Yano, and Tanahashi to retain the belts. So we'll see more of them. But if I was Tanahashi, I would pay more attention what Evil's trying to do to prevent Sho from not defending the belt. If I was him, I overruled him. But if Sho walks away, I would strip him of that belt. Plain and simple. Now, the war between, of course, Bullet Club War Dogs and LIJ rages on. We have 5 series of matches. Our first one, we have Geto versus Yoda Tsuji. Now, this is a no disqualification match. Anything goes. But this match ended in 5 seconds. When Tsuji applied a spear on Geto, I mean, yeah, it ended just like that. And then I have to say this next match is pretty amazing. Gabe Kidd versus Bushi. Now, you probably ask me what is so special about this match. I mean, it's just Bushi who's going to lose. But no, guys. This match showed that Bushi, who is a junior heavyweight, he can hang with guys who are in the heavyweight division. I was impressed. I mean, I would say if I was Bushi, I would definitely try to make my way for the Never Openweight title. And I'm sure Shingo would love that because I have to say, we haven't seen Bushi with any other title. We know he's a IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Champion and a Junior Heavyweight Champion, but I feel like he should excel in the Never Openweight title as well. But unfortunately, the ref went down. Kid did stupid things, as always, and then power drive. But however, Bushi has gone down as the guy who was really hold on to it. Now, our next match, we have Clark Connors taking on Shingo Takagi. Of course, Clark Connors, who doesn't play well. He doesn't do things the right way. He decides to go unorthodox in every way possible. But Shingo, he's shown his strength, his power, every chance he get. But it took only a pumping bomber to put away Clark Connors. So, yes. So, that was a pretty good match. Now, our next match, we have Drilla Maloney versus Tetsuya Naito. Maloney, but in the post-match comments in the day before, said that he was going to beat him up. Well, of course, Naito, who is one of the strongest wrestlers we've seen, but however, things have changed when the referee went out, and David Finlay showed up with an unexpected ally, but not from Japan, from Noah. We're talking about Jake Lee. He showed up and took out Naito. And then, of course, all hell broke loose. But it was Maloney with the Driller Killer that defeated Naito. Now he can brag like a little girl that he defeated him. But Naito will get his retribution on Maloney for that loss. And trust me, Naito never forgets things like that. But of course, Naito, the reason this is happening, Dave Finlay wants Naito gone. Finish. Veto. Completely gone. And of course, he probably blames him now that the IWGP World Heavyweight title is no longer in New Japan territory. It's in AEW territory. Now, our next match, we have David Finlay versus Hiromu. I have to say, Hiromu, despite the fact, much like Bushi, he excelled as well. I mean, I think many people probably would have expected him to probably make the jump for heavyweight. I mean, I would have seen that too. I mean, it took many into oblivions and all this to put him down. But, of course, it took only just overkill to put away Hiromu and allowing him to win the match. However, of course, there was the beatdown coming up. Shingo and Yoda Tsuji showed up for the save, but it was just too much. And, of course, we will see what's going to happen later on in Wrestling Dondaku. So it was later foretold that Jake Lee will replace Geto, and we'll see what happens. But if I was Jake Lee, I would be more careful with the New Japan folks because they don't like outsiders that much. But yes, so we'll see what happens until then. But for right now, let's move on with our last and final review, NXT Spring Breakin. Okay, our final review, NXT Spring Breakin. Now, this is week 1 of that particular event. Now, it opened up with Ava, of course, the GM of NXT, Adam Pearce, the GM of Raw, and of course, Nick Aldis, the GM of SmackDown, having a meeting. Now, we don't know exactly what the extent of the meeting, but we can only take a wild, uneducated guess. But I'm not going to do that on this point. So we'll just wait and see until that day happens. Now, our opening match is the NXT Women's Championship. We have a three-way match. The former champion, Lyra Valkyria, versus Tatum Paxley, versus the now two-time NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. Now, Roxanne Perez did not anticipate that she's going to be in this match because A, she does not want to lose this possession. She treats it like a little child because, as you know, she was bitter ever since she had to lose this belt. Now, she never officially lost this belt by submission or pinfall. And now that she reclaimed it, so did Lyra Valkyria's attempt to reclaim it back to herself. But Tatum Paxley, well, it seems that now, ever since Lyra Valkyria lost the title to none other than, of course, Roxanne Perez, actually, it kind of changed things. But you probably ask yourself, who was going to retain the belt, or who's going to win this belt this time? Well, you saw from a different point of view, Tatum Paxley seems she had this match won. But, however, she applied the 450 splash onto Lyra Valkyria, and then, of course, Roxanne put her in a jackknife position, and 1, 2, 3, the belt has remained with Roxanne Perez. So, that and things like that. Now, we did see a little, moment between Fallon Henley, Thea Hale, and Kalani Jordan. We did see what was going on. However, Jada Parker, who likes to stir the pot, decided to get in the face of Fallon Henley, but we will see those two a little later. Now, our next match, we have a trios match. We have the D'Angelo family, Luca Crucifino, Stax, and Tony D'Angelo taking on No Quarter Catch Crew. All three members, Charlie Dempsey, Damon Kemp, and Miles Bourne. I have to say, this was one of those strongest matches you ever get to see. However, I think many people still question, did Tony D'Angelo made a mistake in Stand and Deliver by not accepting, of course, the brass knuckles? Well, who knows? But it seems that they're trying to get back on track. I'm not sure if Tony can say to himself that maybe he regrets it, or he just thought maybe what he was doing was the right thing. But nonetheless, it was Tony D'Angelo who pinned Charlie Dempsey. But the real question does tell. Does this mean that Tony D'Angelo could have a shot of the Heritage Cup? Well, we will see in the upcoming days and weeks. Now, moving on. Baron Corbin, as you know, we were all aware that his tag partner, Braun Breaker, has moved on to greater things. But the person who never shuts up, acts like he thinks that he is all high and mighty, Lexus King, calls him a false king, and he declares himself a real king. But of course, Baron Corbin knows he's an idiot, so he's no fool. Now, our next match is Jada Parker versus Fallon Henley. You can see that Fallon Henley, who is a tough cookie, really hang in there. But Jada Parker, ever since aligned herself with OTM, has become more stronger. She applied a very strong hip attack, giving her the win. Now, Jay-Z Jane, along with Jasmine Nix, set up a little video promo to send a message straight to Jay-Z Jane, who was pretty much upset how things have turned out between her and Thea Hale. Well, we'll see what happens next week on week 2. Now, we do see the underground, the NXT underground contract signing between Natalya and Lola Vice. Now, we know that Carmen Petrovic is, in fact, of course, is going to be in the corner and training partner of Natalya. However, I had this suspicious feelings, and I think many of you thought the same thing too. We all had a wild, uneducated guess who was going to be Lola's training partner, and that none other than the two-time NXT Women's Champion and someone who's Natalya very familiar with, and that is Shayna Baszler. So basically, you know Shayna Baszler will reveal certain things to Lola Vice, weak points and all this other stuff. But however, we did see Shayna got herself kicked in the face by Carmen Petrovic, which was an awesome kick. I'm not going to lie about that. But all hell broke loose. But we will see what happens next week. Now, Rich Holland, as you know, with his usual ways, he is continuing to act like he is still trying to control his anger, trying to have a new leaf. But much like what we saw with LWO with Joaquin Wilde and Toro Cruz were telling him, "You're not fooling anybody." Even Sean Spears thought the same thing too. But Rich Holland wasn't going to stoop in the level of Sean Spears. But the real question is, will that happen? I don't know. Now, our next match is a beach brawl match. We have Blair Davenport and Sol Ruka. Now, let's explain a little bit about this match, how we got here. Almost a year ago, as you know, there was these anonymous attacks that took place with certain WWE superstars. One of them was Nikita Lyons, the other was Sol Ruka, and various others. But the real question is, who was behind these attacks? Well, those attacks was later revealed. It was none other than Blair Davenport. So basically, Sol Ruka hasn't forgotten what happened. She did got a little payback, but however, you would have assumed that this thing between them would have been over, but no. Davenport wasn't going to let this one go, so they decided to go a little beach brawl match. Basically, you have surfboards, inflatable thingies, and whatever. But I have to say, Sol Ruka with the soul. Now, we've seen Sol Ruka apply the soul snatcher in the corner, but she used the ring ropes to leverage herself to use the soul to apply the soul snatcher onto Blair Davenport, and then landed on the boogie board, and just like that, she wins the match. But the question does remain: is this really over between Blair Davenport and Sol Ruka? We will see if it is. If it's not, then, like, of course, Blair Davenport's old friend Konami would say, never end. So we'll see. Now, with the arrival of the Final Testament, as you know, OAP, I don't remember their names, showed up. This put the entire NXT tag division on hinge. They're not happy with the fact that AOP just showed up and are asking for title shots. Even the current tag champions are not happy. Even champions who we all can agree should have been already champions, and No Fame Malik Blade agreed with them, knowing that this is not their turf. But the Good Brothers, who act all innocent, thinking they're part of the locker room, well, they received no love from the NXT tag division because they're all looking at them. But however, Inoue was attempting to say something and broke the mirror. And it was a bad omen. A bad omen. Everybody just stood quiet, like some bad luck is about to happen. I feel bad for Inoue. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but it just happened. Now, as I mentioned before, Trick Williams will have his final shot. He was on the phone talking to his mom, his mom, as you know, is having a battle of her own. Much like, of course, Trick is going to have a battle of his own too. So basically, they found the words of encouragement. But Trick Williams received a very surprising visit from a former NXT champion, but someone who also has been in his shoes before. We're talking about Johnny Gargano. Now, who could forget that Johnny Gargano, as you remember all, when he lost to Andrade, he was basically, of course, banished from NXT. And, of course, he sees that Trick Williams is in that position. So I have to say Johnny Gargano's appearance played out a good part to show some encouragement and wise wisdoms for Trick Williams to show, do not make my mistakes. You know you have that fire in you, so let it happen. Now, before our main event, we have one last match. Before that, we have Baron Corbin versus Lexis King. Now, of course, Baron Corbin, we all probably would have assumed he would have been the one to shut him up completely. But Lexis King, who refuses to shut up, took out Baron Corbin with the coronation. And just like that, we once again will hear his blabbermouth for who knows how long. But yes, so we're going to have an eternity with him. Now, our main event, the NXT title, Trick Williams versus Ilya Dragunov. Now, this is not the first time these two have tangled. Now, they have wrestled before in non-title matches and a title match. Ilya Dragunov knows how the fire that Trick has. So the question is, can Trick pull it off? Well, I have to say Trick did everything. Even when the H-bomb was applied, it was not enough to put him down. He kept on fighting and fighting until the knee trick did the trick. Just like that, we have a brand new NXT champion, and that is Whoop That Trick. Whoop that trick. That's right, Trick Williams is now our brand new NXT champion. And of course, Dragunov presented the belt to him in honor of respect of a great fighter. So I'm pretty sure we will see Dragunov possibly in the main roster, but we do know that Trick Williams will have to prove himself that he is worthy to become champion. But, however, real question we need to ask ourselves, who will be the first one to take a crack at him? I can think of two names, and I think many of you would think the same thing too. But we will wait and see. So I think that's pretty much it right now with all the reviews. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for all of you. Let's begin with the promotions themselves on their upcoming events. First things first, we got a couple of from the GCW. The Rather Than You Than Me show that takes place in Tampa on May 3rd. They just announced that Miyu Yamashita, the Pink Striker, makes her return. Plus, there's going to be a last man standing match between two former brethren fought in the same battles together. We're talking about Effie and Mance Warner. So, is this the final chapter between these two? Well, we just gotta wait and see. Now, for the World on Lucha that takes place on 5 de Mayo in Chicago, Los Desperados, consistent of Gringo Loco, Ares, and Latigo, they will face Jack Cartwheel, Gravity, and Aramis. But also, another match has been announced for that. We have Speedball Mike Bailey taking on Galeno del Mal. Then, of course, for the upcoming Philly event, Most Notorious, on the 18th of May, Megan Bayne, as you know, I mentioned, she is making her GCW debut. But, however, her opponent is I'm a bad, bad boy. That's right, Joey Janela is her opponent. Well, kind of curious how Joey Janela is going to do this. I mean, Megan Bayne is, strong and powerful, but anyway, moving on. As you know, we have the Deathmatch Hall of Fame that will take place on June 1st. Now, I already announced the first inductee for that. That's Abdullah the Butcher. And this time they announced Marcus Crane. So that's going to be an interesting to hear. Now, for the JCW, Jersey Championship Wrestling, for the Strong Silent Type on the 27th, which is going to happen very, very soon. Effie will be in action to take on Brandon Kirk. Now, for the Cinco de Mayo show, this takes place exactly in Cinco de Mayo by House of Glory. It was announced that that despicable piece of garbage, Charles Mason, will be in action to take on Jay Lyons. Now, this is a revenge match for Jay Lyons after what happened at the collaboration between House of Glory and, of course, Wrestling Revolver. If you guys don't remember, Charles Mason attacked Jay Lyons and of course, removing his mask. I'm sure Jay Lyon will have nothing more to get a little payback for what that punk did to him by taking off his mask. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, we're going to have a very exciting tag match that will take place on the 19th of May by Deadlock Pro Wrestling. Limit Break, we have the Motor City Machine Guns versus MXM, Mansouri and Mason Madden. So that's going to be a banger of a match. And then finally, for the promotion updates on the promotions events, we have Prestige Wrestling for the Combat Clash PDX taking place on the 7th of July. Athena will be in action to take on Masha Slamovich. So that's going to be a crazy, crazy match. Now, for our developments, you may have heard this one already. New Japan has fully acquired Bushiroad. So that means Stardom is in fact, as of this moment forward, a subsidiary with New Japan. So basically, it's great they're going to have that, and this will be effective on June 28th. Now, as you all know, I mentioned this during the much recent events about recent developments with WWE releases, and amongst those names was Von Wagner. It was reported by Fightful Select's Corey Brennan. He said that the much recent NXT show was produced by none other than Mr. Stone, which is very awesome. And of course, there was mentioned that there was no immediate creative plans made for him following the departure of Von Wagner. So that's kind of bummer, but I'm glad for him that he is going to be producing NXT. Now, speaking of departures, Wrestling Observer reports that Paige Vanzant, she was removed from the roster from AEW. Now, we don't know what exactly that means. There are those who speculate that she could be no longer with the company. Who knows? But we haven't heard anything from her at all. Now, speaking of NXT, it was revealed that, of course, Tyson DuPont and Tariq Igwe will be making their NXT debut next week. So, very excited for these guys. Now, I mentioned this before. Nao Ishikawa, as you know, who is now a full-time member of the roster of Mighty Gold, just officially had her last freelance match in Prominence, losing to Miyako Matsumoto. She did say that she hopes that one day she will have a rematch against her to make up for that loss. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, a very interesting development, guys. Now, it's been nearly 6 months since the passing of Wyndham Rotunda, or as we know him, Bray Wyatt. As you know, our hearts goes out to his wife, his widow, JoJo, and their kids. One thing that was really stupid is that some moron went out of his way to say something negative towards JoJo. Now, JoJo, as you know, is still grieving over the loss of Bray, and she was having a bit of fun with Liv Tyler and many of other friends. But this guy had the audacity to say that, it's been 6 months, acting like he thinks that it's wrong of her to go and party and all that. And it's really ridiculous. But however, Amanda Hubbard, I think Amanda Hubbard and a few others spoke out towards this punk. I think many of you want to punch this douchebag. Let me pull this one up. She was out with JoJo was with Liv Morgan and CJ Perry, and this guy goes out saying Bray Wyatt died 6 months ago. But Amanda Hubbard came to the defense, and this is what she said. And 6 months ago, JoJo remained living. Fuck anyone who's grief to create their unrealistic expectation of behavior. She deserves to find a moments of happiness without weirdos on the internet running commentary. Seriously, fuck this mentality. I have to agree with her. What is wrong with having a bit of fun? I know you're hurt that your husband is gone. I mean, look, I don't know what's that like, but I mean, I'm sure it's going to be real painful if I lose a loved one. That's the thing. But what is wrong with having just a little bit of fun? Try to let loose a bit. And this jerk off is saying like it's a bad thing that she's out having fun with Liv Morgan and CJ Perry. I have to say this, and I pardon to many people for my language. Fuck them. And I'm sure many of you would agree with that. Now, I mentioned this earlier. Cameron Grimes, or formerly known, now goes by Trevor Lee, just recently went on social media and it's been revealed that he is now officially released from WWE. So he posted out a statement, and I'll be reading this for all of you. This is Trevor Lee, also known as Cameron Grimes. I just got off the phone with WWE, and I fortunately have been released from my contract. 5 years ago, the last thing I was able to tell my father, Tracy Codwell, that I was signed with WWE. I love working here. I love working at the WWE. I want to thank absolutely everyone that helped me, and I could sit here and name a list of people, but the video might be a little too bit long. Even though you guys haven't seen me in the past year, I've been trying my best to learn from everybody that comes through, everybody that would let me sit there and listen. But if you're a fan of mine, I'm here to let you know that there's a damn fire lit under my ass, man. I want to do all I want to do is work. All I ever wanted to do is work. This is all I've got, man. But hey, the good news is there ain't gonna be stopping Trevor Lee now, baby. Let me tell you that. I love you guys. If you watch this, I love you. We're gonna figure this out. This isn't what I wanted to do at all. The WWE, all I ever wanted to do and be. But if I have to go somewhere else now to show them that they're missing out, I guess that's what I gotta do. Thank you guys. Sad, but he has a good point at the end. We have seen many talent that WWE have missed out completely. And we know for sure Trevor Lee's going to show them how wrong they were from the very beginning. They're going to wish they never let him go, but it just happened. Now, Scott Edwards had a very interesting interview with Utami Hayashishita. She told about what she'd like to face now that she left Stardom, and this is what she said. I've always wanted to fight against Io Sky. It is a dream that's been hard to fulfill, but she went to W even when I debuted. But would like to make it happen someday. And I'm very interested in Rina Yamashita and Veni. So, yeah, that's a good list. Rina Yamashita, Veni, and of course Io Sky. I'm sure that there's those who are hoping for the partnership between Mighty Gold and WWE. We're just waiting to see if things will be finalized. And then finally, Starlight Kid went on. As you know, she teases about going to Mighty Gold if she wins the Goddess's tag titles. Now, as you know, she and Ruka will be in a 4-way match for the tag titles. And this is what she had to say. If I win this belt, it would be interesting to get into that place people are talking about right now. That smells like nice flowers. Wouldn't it be passion? So she's teasing about the possibility she could go to Mighty Gold if she wins the tag belts. We will see if that happens. If not, then too bad. So I think that's pretty much it with all our reviews and of course our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Everybody enjoys this episode coming up. I decided to make a judgment call for the next episode since it's going to be Wednesday. I'm considering maybe just leave to do one review, and that is, of course, AEW. Now, the reasons behind that is because recently I got back doing my podcast, and the podcast takes too much of my time and all this other stuff. But sometimes there'll be certain moments where I get caught in errands I need to do outside of what I'm doing from this channel. But we'll see what happens. But at the same time, the other reason why I decided to do a one review episode only is because the following day I have a doctor's appointment, and it's really early in the morning to do so. So I was going to take up so much of my time with the editing and all that. So I'm going to do everything all in one swoop. Now, for the next coming thing for the podcast I'll be doing, the discussion will be, of course, the AEW Dynasty, the much recent releases, and various other things as well. So you guys may want to stay tuned for that. But as of right now, that's going to be the plan. So, but until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.